with discretion. That's hardcore.
All right.
I know I'm into tarot and stuff, but that's too far. No.
Welcome to the Placeholder Podcast, Season 1, Episode 8, covering self-development and self-progression with featured guest Vee Marie. Shake off the rust and knock off the dust because we are live. Okay, thank you everybody for tuning into the Placeholder Podcast, where Dan and I take two things and form it into one special and unique idea. Tonight is a very special podcast because we have our first ever guest and we are testing out our guest format and formula. So for this episode, what you can look forward to is that we decided to look for people that we're looking through in real life and people who had interesting social media and presence and could tell us a wide range of things that we really don't know about. So it'll be a very interesting podcast. We have a special guest who regularly talks about self-care, self-development, and topics that, in all honesty, we should probably look more into. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce my guest, a friend, a writer, an artist, and a first-time guest of the Placeholder Podcast, Vee Marie. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks. That was a nice introduction.
I hope so. It's kind of been a bit of a rocky road. I think legit, like the last time I seen your face or talked to you might have been like Halloween when we ate pizza, like me and Dan in the sumo suits.
Yes, that's honestly like when I think of you two, that's the first memory.
I'm glad that that's the impression we left because that's really how I want to project myself in the world. It's
kind of just
overweight ninja.
Sums you two up. I'm sorry.
I think so, right? Just drunk and pizza.
It's at least half my personality summed up in those two items.
Nothing wrong with that. I think we came here to talk a little bit about self-development and what that means to you. So maybe you can kind of give us a little bit of insight on that.
It's kind of awkward to say, but to be honest, I just didn't really like the person that I was, I guess. I didn't feel like I was being genuine and authentic. There's been a lot of like traumatic experiences in my life that just kind of made me, stop and think about, life itself and where I wanted to be in life. And then I just started researching various things, lots of reading, lots of self-awareness. And it just progressed. I've been writing for 20 years. And I just started reading back and looking different things up and lots of conversations with other people too, like vulnerability. That's a huge, you have to be vulnerable. You have to talk about your feelings and your emotions and understand them. And
I think that's a good point you bring up vulnerability because one thing I want to ask you, because I feel like everyone on the planet should be kind of interested in self-development. It's just a part of the human condition. But most of us are very timid to share our self-development with others. And one of the reasons why we went through Facebook and why you popped out is because you're kind of much more open with your journey than I think the vast majority of people are. Did that come naturally to you? Like, did you find yourself just?
No, it's actually a completely undeveloped skill. It's not. That's the tricky part, I guess, is to be authentic, especially online, but also, just not. Being fake at the same time. Like it's hard to balance it because it's not a natural way of communicating and it's not easy, especially there's a lot of judgment, right? So a lot of the time, I'll post dark emotional things and people will take it as I'm having a bad time, but that's actually not the case. It's not necessarily something I'm going through right now, but it's something that just resonates with me, or it actually might even be somebody else's story. And it's just, I guess that's a way to, like, a big part of it is just being your authentic self. And in order to do that, you just have to put yourself out there, and regardless of the judgments you're going to get back. I find a lot of the time people judging you, they're just they're not there, they aren't able to accept themselves, so it kind of scares them, maybe. I don't know.
Right. I would say I feel a lot of judging others, it's really more their own insecurity projected outwards.
That's from what I've actually even researched and talked with people in personal growth. That's the general. If somebody's projecting something onto you, it doesn't necessarily actually have anything to do with you. Usually it's something in them. And actually that's a tool you can use for self-awareness is pay attention to what you are projecting on other people.
I kind of want to back up there when you said something about vulnerability and being authentic, because there's a phrase that keeps on coming up anyways, and in my specific journey to self-development was fake it till you make it. So I just kind of wanted to get your thoughts on that philosophy of not being inauthentic until you can actually make it.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, it's a saying I've used, and it's kind of got some truth behind it. But again, it's, I don't know. I guess every time I post something, I just make sure that it's something true that at least I've experienced or somebody has told me. That's the balance of being authentic. And in a way, every time you put yourself out there, like, you are pushing yourself. And those are good skills, though, right? I think even confidence is looked at wrong maybe in society, like especially even with women, sometimes it's taken the wrong way, and then, you know, even it depends. Like, there's men who are more feminine, right? And if they want to express themselves more femininely, there's a lot of judgment there. But yeah, that's, you can't be yourself unless you do those things. And I guess that's the fight we're having right now.
I would even say a lot of what people think is faking it before you make it. You're not actually faking it. You're just trying to be the person you want to be. You're trying to express your true self, which you're not used to. So it feels like you're faking it.
Exactly. Yeah, you're being uncomfortable. It's a lot of advice I've gotten from my good girlfriends lately, actually.
Speaking of girlfriends, do you have someone, a figure in your life, or an author that you read a lot that you kind of look to as a mentor or a guru? And if so, like, what would you say the significance of that is?
Boy, that's a tough topic. Actually, it was my mother, who is no longer here. She passed away, and that is probably the biggest thing in my life. That happened 2.5 years ago, I think. And that was the biggest push in my life to change. And with losing that, it was so traumatic that I had to find something. And it was so hard to match it that it ended up being a sum of things. And one of those things actually, was myself too. Recognizing the parts in her that were instilled in me and being able to focus on those and try and pull those out. And then, you know, in that, I think I realized also that we all in reality do need each other. Like, everybody needs somebody that they can count on, you know, and actually the more that you can have, the better, because those were the toughest times of my life. And if I didn't have, you know, a few people to phone, I wouldn't have gotten as far as I am now without that support. I can say that for sure.
My condolences, by the way.
Thank you.
That's the toughest loss. And I lost my mother as well. And it's interesting. I kind of had, I guess, an opposite perspective. I was really big onto the path of self-development and self-progression, but my experience was after my mom passed was I went on a bit of a self-destruct where drinking and drug use quite heavily, and essentially cut myself off from the world. And it was only after I got reconnected with my sister that I kind of started to climb my way out of the hole. But yeah, I agree with you that having the right people around you is definitely key. I guess I know when I hit bottom, I had several missteps, but I'm just wondering, have you had any missteps on your initial journey when you started this path to improving yourself?
Oh, definitely. Like, nobody's perfect. I mean, I'm not going to say I don't have the odd glass of wine on a tough day, you know, but I mean, marijuana, I'll be real. I've used it medicinally through my mom's death because I did not want to use pills. And, you know, it's just like, I guess in moderation, right? And keeping control, that's the thing. I don't know. It's probably honestly my mom and my parents' influence that like helped me too, because she was, you know, like, she was such a great person. So like, I didn't want to do that to myself. But at the same time, at the start of my journey, I was a mess. And like, as you know, we started this out. We were partying together. We all saw it. I was, you know, it wasn't that bad, but I was good. So, you know, that had a lot to do with it. Like, I drink wine, but I don't drink like that. And I don't want to. And it's just a matter of having that self-control. And yeah, because I mean, there's an argument on what is better, like using a natural plant or using medication. Like everything has its purpose, right? I'm not going to say an opinion, but maybe that's from my growing up or just personal belief but yeah, you can go either way. Anybody can.
Very true. I kind of want to follow up with that. Oh, by the way, when we were partying, I barely drank. That's a true story.
That's true. Actually, I remember that you were not often drinking.
What a sissy.
Yeah, I go for years without touching a drink. You mentioned friends. I know you mentioned marijuana, which is legal now, so there's no shame in the game there. What other resources have you used to help you develop your mind and yourself?
Mostly for me, I'm a creative, so lots of painting, drawing, writing. Yeah, I do meditation. I've this in the last year taken on weightlifting. I've done yoga for 10 years or something. Just good things, basic life things, really. I don't know. There's a lot, I believe, like, what you put into your body, whether it be the thoughts, the food, the water you drink. I mean, I'm going to be real because I'm a girl. Like, even when I'm putting on my face creams and stuff, I take my time. I think positive thoughts. Like, I do believe in that if, like, the more love you put out, the more love you get back, right? So I just try to love myself and take care of myself as best as I can. I mean, it's ironic. I smoke. I'm trying to quit smoking, so like, again, back to the nobody's perfect. That's my next one on the list for sure. But that's what I mean, right? You just one step at a time and like, don't beat yourself up. If you have a step back, if you make a mistake or like, I could beat myself up every day. I do beat myself up every day for smoking, but that's the only thing I beat myself up about now, right? It's like, I have that one thing because I put in all that work and I feel better. I feel happy. I'm grateful, even despite everything I've been through,
Yeah, I feel a lot of people, they get a period of like intense motivation. I want to do this and I'm going to know whatever I want to quit. I want to quit smoking. I want to do cold turkey. And if they ever do, misstep, if they ever do take a step backwards, it's like, oh, I blew it. And all the progress up to that point, they almost feel like they have to throw it out, start all over. And it's not, you're not starting over. You took a step back. It happens. It's more about the journey. And a lot of people, they pressure they put on themselves ends up backfiring when it just ends up being too much at a moment when your motivation isn't as high as it was when you first set out on this journey.
Yeah, and I'm just as guilty of that. That was actually one of the things I had to work on. And that's part of the positive self-talk, positive affirmations. It's the way you speak about yourself, right? Exactly like you said. I didn't fail. I just made a mistake. I took a step back. It's almost like we're trained to not love ourselves in society. You're trained to, like, even in the magazines or whatever it is, you're always comparing yourself to somebody else, but that's just compare yourself to where you were before, compare yourself to yourself, and I'm just, yeah.
Are you inspired more by the negative thoughts or the positive thoughts? What inspires you most?
I'd say both, because I feel it's more important to embrace your feelings as they come, good and bad, and being authentic and vulnerable about them with yourself, which allows you to communicate them with others better. I've started to notice patterns too, like if I'm angry, working out works better. If I'm sad, writing and, just paying attention to those things. Support systems are huge. I think that's a huge thing that's causing problems, because I'll admit, the more I didn't have very many girlfriends and suddenly I have a lot and I'm being more girly and it's actually helping. It's just, or even just, I don't know how to explain this. You guys are boys, maybe you understand. But for women, we need that connection. Like, I don't know if that's a general knowledge or not, but I've talked to women about it and I'm like, you agree, right? Like, every girl kind of needs a girlfriend too. That's just the way we are. But I think
girlfriend or a gay friend, right?
Well, I don't know. I've never had. I don't know if I've had a.
No.
I have gay acquaintances, but I don't know if I've actually had a gay friend. I don't think so. So I can't say, but I don't know. How is it for you guys? So wouldn't you say, like, you guys are friends? Isn't it better to have a, different with genders? But
and everyone should have a good romance in their life. I think we just we don't verbalize it as much as girls do with their girlfriends.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay. Secret's out. There you go. You're not allowed to edit that out. No, but yeah, I think
secret's
that's
out.
it.
Boys like boys. We like our friends. We need
You
our
guys slap
friends.
each other's, what's in the locker rooms. No, I'm just kidding.
How did you know about
fighting.
that part? Okay.
I
Putting
meant
out too many secrets out.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just heard things. Who knows?
I think everyone needs their to find a support group within their own sex. You said you were being more girly. I'm kind of curious. How did you redefine or rediscover your femininity, and what does that mean?
Oh gosh, I'm still working on that.
We ask hard questions on this podcast.
Apparently. No, that's actually what I'm working on, and it's just authenticity. And you lose parts of yourself through adulthood, I think. And I've had this conversation. It's hard. It's a tough topic. It's there's things you're told as a woman that are inappropriate. It's like if a man rapes a woman, it's because she was wearing something, or she would, I grew up with that traditional mindset. It's not, I don't agree with it, obviously. And I'm not saying it should be the way it is. If you look at the divine feminine and the divine masculine, there are certain roles, and yes, you can have masculine parts to you or feminine, but for the most part, women are supposed to be, nurturing and caring. I don't want to say supposed to be. It's kind of like biology too. I've looked up biology, and that's how I know that women like to commune and communicate and interact, is because we used to forage and we used to do cooking and such. So in a way, with that being a part of society, it is almost a part of our biology. There's also things like hormones. So I'm not really sure. That's what I'm I'm trying to define it myself. So it's like, what is femininity? It's hard to define. Yeah.
We touched base on this on the previous podcast, actually. And we discussed how nurture reinforces nature. And everyone has a masculine and a feminine, and it's just finding that balance between them and the appropriate times for which you can express that certain characteristic. You had mentioned that women should be acting a certain way. How do you feel about the opposite perspective? How do you feel about men acting a certain way?
I don't even like that I use the word should. I don't mean should. It's like I think it just comes down to respecting and understanding each other, communicating. I don't even know how to explain it. Because, okay, so I will admit I'm a little bit more of a pretty girl, attractive girl. Like, I'm told I'm beautiful. And so I'm like, okay, yes, I believe you. And yeah, I have aesthetic features. And also the attention I've gotten throughout my life. One big thing is if you get negative attention, for me anyway, I was always like, how am I asking for this? What am I doing that is telling these men that I want this? And because of that negative attention, it almost made me insecure about being a woman, because you're told also that the things that you do are promoting this.
Right.
I don't know, it's
you want complex. To embrace your feminine side, but the response you get negative reinforces that behavior, because you're getting unwanted attention from men that you're not trying or seeking.
Yeah. And I guess because we don't talk about it enough, I don't really understand. It's because for instance, never had a problem with you guys. That's why we're friends, right? And I do have male friends that are and always have been respectful, and there are men obviously who don't do that. But it is a secret battle, I think, that we don't talk about enough, that women have to deal with. Almost every woman probably has some sort of experience to some degree of basically being attacked or feeling attacked, because I don't know. I've had guys just ask me out without even asking if I had a boyfriend. And I'm like, should we maybe get to know each other first? Or I don't know. Sometimes you're like with somebody and, I really don't know. So yeah, it's a touchy thing where it's like, what is acceptable for me?
Right.
Yeah.
Sort of like
tough...
why don't you smile more? You're prettier when you smile type of
yes.
Comments.
Yes. I don't want to. I'm not
everyone
happy.
appreciates, right?
Yeah, no.
It's like, let me be me. I'm not happy right now.
Yeah, or even, I don't know. Like there's an ongoing joke with me because I don't smile. And, we say, me and some of my guy friends, that it's resting bitch face so that you don't get wrinkles. And I'm like, it's kind of true. It's like, or like, look at all the models. Like they don't, there's a reason you don't always, I don't know. It's just, but it's like,
all the models are Russian. And in Russian culture, if you smile too much, everyone thinks you're stupid.
Oh, okay. Well, like in history, if you smiled, it stole your soul. So who knows?
Yeah.
I think you've offended half of our listeners, Dan.
Yeah.
Way to go.
The truth must be told. I'm a truth teller on here.
What's the Russian phrase? Something like, "Love is so cruel that you can fall in love with a goat." It's like
I just read that somewhere. I don't understand that.
That's a Russian like expression. It's like there's grass always greener on the other side. They have something like, "Love is so like cruel that you can fall in love with a goat."
Oh, so it's like you don't control who you love. You could, fall into a shape of water situation.
That's how I actually kind of took that.
Or they are really into bestiality.
No.
All right.
Or going back to a previous episode, it's a Beauty and the Beast thing. You can fall in love with the beast if you...
What were you guys talking about on this previous episode? Like femininity and Beauty and the Beast.
Our podcast go all over the place.
Yeah.
I want the link. This is not fair. I thought this is the first time, and it's like episode 8. Hey, okay. I want to hear
You're the first guest. You're the first person that will listen that visit me or Shane.
Yeah, but we've been improving quite a bit, and like we are so stoked that you are here, and the conversation you bring is like, I feel like I could talk to you for hours on this. Like there's a lot a lot of ooh, don't get too bad yourself. I'll end the podcast right now.
No, I just
don't forget who's the host.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that I projected that.
I'm calling. Listen now, you're not even V anymore.
Don't! You gotta cut that out. That's not fair. You can't have my real name on here. No, I didn't agree to that.
We're going to make up a new nickname for you. Just slot that in everywhere we're calling you. So you mentioned earlier you were thinking about writing a book. Can you explain to us what you were thinking about writing about, and what inspired this process of possibly writing a book?
Well, it's kind of selfish, actually. Like, my book is probably this topic, and that's kind of why I signed up for it, because I thought it would be helpful. Yeah.
Well, we did tailor the podcast because we thought, you seem quite passionate about this topic.
Yeah, no, actually.
But can you walk down, like, what specific event made you think, a book would be an interesting way to tackle these issues?
Well, that was probably part of my self-actualization, too, is just, like I said, I've been writing for 20 years, legitimately. I had a huge life transition where I had time to actually collect it all and looked, and I'm like, there's like thousands of, at least 1,000 pages. So I was like, I don't know, just like, why don't I do something with this? Because, I don't know. That's the thing. Everybody has a purpose, and obviously, I don't know. I just believe in trying to match your passion with your purpose as much as you can. Like, that's probably why people are miserable. They're working jobs that they don't really want to be doing.
I like the way you stated that. Matching your passion with your purpose.
Well, thanks. I'm going to take a copy of this podcast and make notes for the record. But I don't know. Yeah, but it's easier said than done to do that, right? So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think, Dan, you had something you want to bring about a reflection piece, if I recall correctly.
Me and Shane were talking. We really want to muscle in on the Joe Rogan territory podcasts. So we want to ask you, have you ever done DMT?
I have.
Or a psychedelic?
What counts as a psychedelic?
Shrooms?
Yeah,
Okay.
transhumanids, shrooms. I think there's like there's like African like walnuts and stuff like that.
Oh wow,
Things to
there's a
that
lot of.
nature. Yeah, like acid.
I have not taken DMT. I have taken mushrooms, but not much at all. And I wouldn't say that necessarily had to do with like my mental transition into all this. It was more like, again, I try to use natural substances to. This is hard. I am not endorsing drug use on anyone.
I am.
For the record.
For the record, I am.
Terrible people.
Do all
No.
drugs.
No, like for instance, like microdosing mushrooms daily. I don't know if I mean, maybe if you have some severe mental, but I mean, like I said, I've been like even after I lost my mother, I did not feel like I don't necessarily believe that drugs are going to help you actually in the like transcending into your purpose and your, all of that. And I honestly, like, I don't like the idea of any chemical drugs. So anything that's not natural, again. And a lot of them too, like acid. I don't know, from the things I've heard about some of those, it sounds, I don't know. Yeah, like from what I've read on DMT, or there's some drug, it's like Bioga, I think. I can't remember. It's in Africa that they're using for curing addiction because it kind of has similar, and it's again just from a tree, or like those African walnuts. What are those? Probably same.
They might be the same thing.
Yeah, that actually might be what they are then. Okay, I don't know. See, so like things like that, or because like I feel like they're more aids in medicinal ways than, or like even some they do have. Like with mushrooms, there's argument that they do help with like mental health in ways, but I also have beliefs on like with anxiety and depression and all these mental things that, again, it's if you aren't being your authentic self, if you're not living a happy life, if you're not taking care of your body, all those things, that also pertains to it. A big thing is like routine, consistency. Because I mean, there's weeks where I fall out, right? But then again, it's that don't beat yourself up, like take care of yourself, do what you got to do, and then get back into the routine and the consistency and positive things, healthy things. And I don't know if I'd like, even my goal is to at one point not use marijuana at all. But yeah,
I just want to put out there, this podcast official stance on microdosing is don't. Macrodose.
Okay. No, that's your endorsement. I stand by everything I just said. I don't know. It's
get me fired from my job again. God.
Oh God.
Son of a gun.
I want to also put out there. I want to emphasize this is also Shane's endorsement, not just mine.
I was just gonna say
Shane is
Switzerland.
actually the one pushing this on me.
Oh my God.
I guess one thing I did kind of want to bring up, because it's been a topic of interest to me. I was actually thinking of making this to its own podcast, but I think it fits really well into this. Is there is sort of this debate in psychology about, we'll take the example of depression. The standard view of people with depression is that they have a negative bias when analyzing the world. They see all the dark things in the world, and that is coming from themselves. It's an internally derived condition. Whereas other psychologists promote something that's called a depressive realism, where actually the depressed people actually have a more accurate understanding of the world. They're less biased. And it's non-depressed people who have a positive bias looking at the world. In other words, they're kind of more optimistic, even when they shouldn't be, when they actually probably should be depressed if they actually understood their human condition in the world. Do you feel like, to take the example of depression, but we can expand it to any sort of mental health struggle. Do you think it's more of an internal struggle, or is it something that actually comes from the external world, and then we have to deal with it internally because we have no way to affect the external world?
Oh, it's probably a combination. I don't know. It's yeah, because I mean that's the thing is if I I mean, I have days where, yeah, there's lots of bad thoughts. So I just go into the self-care is what I do. And I mean, yeah, there is a lot external that can make you upset. But I don't know. The one that I like the quote where it's like, you are not your brain, you are the user of your brain. Or you are not your thoughts, you are, you know, the influence to your thoughts. Like those kind of things where maybe we just let our brains take control. Like it's the thing, if you have a negative thought, think of a positive thought. You know, you are in a lot more control than you think.
Do you then ignore or push past your negative thoughts, or have you ever given like credence and explored some of the darker things that have gone through your head?
Yeah, I mean, you have to.
Yeah,
I guess now what I do is more if it's like negative self-talk, I don't. And then if it's something, you know, even like what we said about femininity, that is something that I write a lot about, because if I have an experience, then yeah, I usually go and write about it. Or, you know, if I'm really mad, I'll go and punch my punching bag if I have it. I don't have it hung up, sadly, but working out, you know, it's just, yeah. So, yeah, the biggest one I try to do is just the negative self-talk. That's the ones that I'll try and push out the most, because I just feel like they're completely irrelevant. There is no, like, if you're like, especially if you're fixing those things, if you're on that journey, what is the purpose of having, right? But in the beginning, it's those negative thoughts that are going, like, that pinpoint what you have to work on, or where that trauma came from, and, you know, identifying it so you can work on it. I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just depends on where you're at, I guess. But yeah. So it's really like self-reflecting. Thank you. I'm like,
I think so.
Yeah.
We like to think of this podcast as therapy, as also like drunk and high bullshit. It's a perfect.
What, are you guys
of...
drunk and high? You didn't say we could drink. And like, I definitely would have had a drink.
Yeah.
No, what? Oh, you guys.
This is an official pro crystal meth podcast as well.
Yeah.
Macrodose your crystal meth.
Good fucking God, no. No.
All right. Kind of bridging the two ideas of exploring negative thoughts and the uses of psychedelics and getting those natural highs. Have you experimented with the isolation tank before?
No, but that would be probably, I've heard good things.
Mm-hmm. The high lasts for about a week. You actually feel high.
So are you saying you were trying to use that as an outlet instead of drugs, or you were also using psychedelics?
I use that.
Why not both?
Why not both?
Well, no, absolutely. But
I do crystal meth before I go in the tank.
Yeah, and if any float tank companies are listening, please endorse us.
Yeah.
Give me a free session. Come on. No.
Especially if you're in Russia. If you are in Russia. Russian float tanks.
That's where all the money is.
You can't go to Russia to fucking float.
No, they'll import it in, you know?
Okay, now. Will they?
We'll start a sister float company.
Yeah, it will be called the, what is it? Float
Coupons
Tank
are transferable.
I can't wait to hear what the actual podcast is like. 'Cause I'm like, what is going in and not?
Oh boy. It all stays. Yeah. Everything.
I think so. I think we do a good job. I probably should have sent you a copy of the podcast before you came on.
Oh shit! I said that.
Oh, did that not happen?
No, you didn't even send me the template
Shane's a terrible host.
Today, was it? When I'm like driving home from Saskatoon, and I'm like, awesome, thank you.
Well, no, in our defense, we didn't have a format until today. So
well, that helps.
You got it right around the same time we got it.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't make it any better.
The writers we paid 10 cents an hour to in Russia. We're really slow this week.
No, you didn't. There's typos. It's terrible.
This background is our actual podcast cover art. That's why it's in Russian.
I believe it. Yeah, no, I know. I'm just
we actually we had like a Russian like catchphrase like at the beginning, and I didn't do it just because.
See, this is part of my standards and boundaries. You do not blame me for your actions. I am sorry.
You're telling me not to as an Asian man?
I don't care who you are.
You don't care about Asians.
Wow.
I don't care who you are to care that you are going to blame your actions on me. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter if you're a man, a woman. It doesn't matter if you're any culture. It doesn't matter who you are. You
Asian.
will not. No, you will not blame your actions on me. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, so you're saying the white man has no blame in the plight of the Asian man?
I'm not. Is this going to get edited out? In my honest opinion, I think the Asians are going to win the next evolution. It's going to get edited to make you look terrible and racist. No. Okay, well, this isn't it's pro-Asian, so I honestly, if anybody's winning the next evolution, I do believe it's the Asians.
Because they're savages.
No, because they're...
that's where that line goes in.
Dynamic and adaptive, and there's a lot of things.
Oh, so Asians are better than other races?
They seem like they know what they're doing in some ways, and just, they do live. I think the Italians are the only ones I've heard that live maybe as long. And I don't know if it's as consistently across.
It's the diet, right?
That's what I heard.
The seafood diet, yeah. Japanese, Italians, Greeks.
But
I've
also maybe the lips. I don't know.
Yeah, there's also the community aspect of diet.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a communal aspect of food that has some sort of benefit to your health, and it's kind of one of those unexplained things. It's kind of like touch. That
validates what I said about human interaction and the pandemic and texting and social media. Just saying.
Yeah, that's actually kind of what gave birth to the podcast. We wanted to actually have like a human voice and just kind of express our thoughts.
So are you two not humans, or...
No,
like,
I'm
why
Asian.
do you two?
I'm not a
yeah, we established this. He's the superior type of being.
So you're the one that's... I'm confused. But he said you needed a human voice, and I'm like, well, what are you two? Like...
Well, that's what we need. We need to talk to each other. As humans.
Uh-huh.
Even Shane, as an Asian, human talking to human.
Oh, I see. So me and you are the human, and he's the Asian... Is that it?
Asians are humans too.
God, here we go.
I don't know how many times you have to explain this.
Go back to the podcast. I'm tired.
This is the podcast. This all goes in.
I know.
This all goes in.
No.
This is actually the highlight.
To go back to your float tank, though, can we go back to that? Like, is that just how you're going to end it? We're done?
No,
that's how we end all our podcasts with our guests.
No, you're going to
screaming at us and like quitting in rage.
You are going to go through this and to edit it, and you are going to find so many sections where it just ended the topic awkwardly, because then we got into this, and then we didn't get back onto the topic. I guarantee it.
Legit.
That's our trademark.
That's legit how every podcast is. I need to send you a copy of it, but.
I am so sad.
Editing is a powerful
tool. Terrible.
Yeah, editing. We all sound like geniuses when we edit our podcast.
I fucking better, or I'm never talking to either one of you ever again, because I took a chance on this. You don't talk to
savage Asians, I guess.
Fuck. I don't talk to people who ruined my career before it even started. Jesus. Go check out this podcast of me sounding really intelligent, and then go buy my book. That's not even written yet. Yeah.
Listen to this podcast of me calling Asians.
Good marketing. No.
All right. So let's go back to the float tank, and we'll go there, and then we'll go into our 3 random quotes segment after that, and then we'll wrap up the podcast.
I thought we did that.
Oh no, we haven't.
There was 2 quotes we talked about.
No, well, we're doing 3.
No, so do we do 1 more or 3 more?
1 more, you jerk.
Well, that's what I mean. We have from fucking quotes to float tanks to this, and I'm like...
All right, podcast over. I have enough.
Okay.
All right.
This is such a fail.
No, we're good. This is actually legit. So much good content in here.
Yeah, there's a lot of good content.
Yeah, it's
I'm gonna try and have faith in you. Okay, you better redeem yourselves for all the men. I'm just saying.
All the Asian men, Vee?
No, I have never had a bad Asian in my life, actually. It's all the other ones. So you have to make up and not ruin this podcast in your editing. That's what I'm saying, or else it's done for men. I'm just kidding. Continue. Float tank.
All right.
Get back to the fucking. This is the rest of my femininity rant right there.
All right.
Okay.
5 second awkward silence.
All right, so we are talking about float tanks, and before we kind of got a little bit sidetracked, I'd mentioned that it's a good opportunity to explore your negative thoughts and then the high lasting about a week. Just kind of want to get your thoughts on that. I know you haven't, but is that something that you would consider?
Well, yes, it's well, I was considering it because of not the high. The only comment I'm going to make to that is just, I think that's the problem, is that we focus so much on the high from, or like trying to get this high that matches something else, or like it's still almost like trying to escape, but really it should be is like, I like the exploration of the negative thoughts.
I got an interesting question I just thought of on the dome. So, well, it's not my question. This comes from Friedrich Nietzsche, if you guys ever heard of that philosopher. And it's a thought experiment. And I think it's related to what we're talking about. So, imagine wherever you are in life right now, an angel or a demon comes to you and informs you that time is a flat circle. Meaning that, your life is like a video game or like a DVD movie. Once it ends, it goes right back to the beginning. You have to experience your life exactly as it was the first time, again and again and again. And you don't have your memories. Every time you die, you lose your memories. But you have to live the same life over and over and over again. How do you react to this information? Do you find this knowledge of time is a flat circle uplifting? Or do you react with despair or somewhere in between?
What part of the circle am I in? Around the time that
right now.
Yeah. Right now, I'm happy. If it's around the time my mother's passing, that'd devastate me. That I'd have to experience that again.
Right. But you will have to experience that experience over and over again.
Knowing if I had to go through it again with what I know now, that news would devastate me, and I would do what I can to get my memories back. But if your memories are wiped and you have to relive it again, then yeah, for me, I'm comfortable enough to say so be it. But being knowledgeable and going through it again, that's a game changer, and I wouldn't.
Yeah, I'm neutral. I didn't feel either joy or despair from it. It's I have a different concept on time, maybe, but yeah.
Well, this is a thought experiment. So you throw out whatever you think time actually works. Just accept that this is true. How would it make you feel?
Well, that's the thing, though, is I basically kind of agree with that, and that's, I think, why I was neutral.
Okay.
Because
my thoughts.
No, the philosopher, where because when you say like time is a flat circle, I'm just like, time is a concept. That's how I kind of look at it, I guess. So that's why I'm neutral about it, because just to add on to like you Shane, it's like the way I look at it, everybody's going to very likely lose their mother in their life unless their life is cut short, I think. So when I thought about what you were saying, I was just like, I was going to lose her at some point anyway. So that's just a part of, I guess I look at so I just, and also I'm like, I wouldn't change anything about my life. So that's why I'm neutral.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd want to go in with the knowledge. That's if you could, if there's a way to go back in with the knowledge, that's kind of what I'd want. I'd want to go in with like
to know that it was going to happen when it was going to happen. Is that what you mean by knowledge? Or
yeah, absolutely. I would want to know. I'd want to know when these dates are, or at least kind of get a feeling of, okay, this is going to happen around the time you're 26, 27, 28. Definitely change my interactions with my mother. I think I got into a huge argument and with her the night before, and I had some negative thoughts, and I actually avoided her, and my last words were her. She was like, "I don't want to talk to you," and I stormed out. She said, "Bye" to me, and I just slammed the door behind me, and I didn't say anything. And then the next time I saw her, paramedics were working on her and said, "There's nothing we can do." So it's yeah, I'd want to go in with the knowledge.
Well, no, like that is honestly that's very traumatic. Like for me, it was my mom was diagnosed with cancer and then died 2 months, not even 2 months after the diagnosis. You know, I had a friend who's kind of similar. It had to do with the flu though, and it was 2 weeks or a month. So like it's just yours. Like I'm not saying that one's pain is worse than the others, but to me that would hurt me more. And so I could see why you feel like that. But at the same time, I had similar thoughts to you because I had flashbacks of literally every time I was ever horrible to my mom or rude or like from childhood to, and I held on to that guilt for a long time too. And yeah so I understand where you're coming from there, kind of.
Yeah, it's hard to find forgiveness for yourself. And my mom, she passed away from a heart attack, and like the thing that like really gets me is that she was diagnosed with like cancer like the week before, and it's like you got angry at someone who was dying of cancer, and like you wouldn't even say bye. I just came across as such a shitty person, and I kind of fed into that I am a shitty person, and I wanted that destruction. So yeah, it's a weird thing, and I need to know like key dates.
Well, I'm glad you liked it. Like,
yeah, it's tough. It's I don't really talk about it either, but I will say this though, time's a bitch, and like yeah, I would need to know.
I think everybody experiences regrets, and I also see like you connecting with yourself though too, and I do see like progress and growth. So yeah, I don't know.
I think I went backwards from back when you knew me. I
don't know.
I don't think that's true, Shane, at all.
No, you seem very well. Like you, at the very least, you seem very self-aware right now. So it's like even if you are maybe feeling lots of guilt and you are still in a dark place, like the fact that you are actualizing those things and recognizing those things, it is a step. Like I had the same things. Like, you know, it was really hard for me too. And our family, it took a lot of adjusting, and there's been a lot of difficult situations. And yeah, like I'm still trying to figure out kind of how I pulled myself out of it. A lot of it's what I told you guys, but sometimes I do feel like it was a miracle too. So like, you know, we're all on a different level of the journey, but I do recognize those things, like when you speak, and yeah, even like how excited you were about this podcast, right? Like there's little see in there, like you're smiling. So it's like, it's just a journey, right? And it takes time. So, but I do recognize that, and I just want to say that. So,
it's one hell of an experiment, man. Damn.
Yeah.
I know you're fucking ripping us apart.
Yeah, fucking Ricky Lake over here. Quasi.
Well, I was just thought of it because I read up on it like a few days ago, and my first initial thought was like, oh, I would personally be bummed out. And the whole point of that thought experiment is like, if it does bum you out, that's a failure. Like you're not living the life you should be living, and you should change it, right? You're not an Ubermensch. You're not an Overman, to take the Nietzsche word for it. Yeah. So I remember reading that. I'm like, oh, you know what? That did speak to a part of me, and it just kind of came to me like it does apply to everything we're talking about.
So if the thought bums you out, you're not living the life.
Yeah, because it just means that you don't want to live your life again as you're living it right now. So as you have lived it.
Let's do a.
So I hope, if you ask me this question in 10 years, I can look back and say, yeah, I would totally live my life again, over and over and over again for eternity.
Okay, let's do like an amateur and like uncertified psychoanalysis then. I put on conditions on that. So what does that mean?
It means you have work to do.
Does that mean I conditionally?
It means you still have work to do, but
And once like you just have to strive for that happy, and you have to strive for that ultimate. I mean, that's why I'm still, like I said, I got to write the book, right? Because that's all, and I'll agree with that, because that, like, that I have been there. I was at the more miserable, grieving, sad, and now, like, even just sitting here being like neutral, well, that's a step in the right direction. I'm not happy about it because I haven't done what, I haven't, but I get that, and you can do it, man. Fuck, we all can. For
Very
real.
true.
Yeah.
All right. So that kind of brings me to my next quote, is whether you think you can or you can't, you're right. What does that mean to you?
It's your thoughts. That's exactly it. It's the thoughts that you're feeding yourself is what's influencing your capabilities and your opportunities. I mean, yes, there's sometimes where you need to delve into those negative thoughts, but like for me, I like to take the time and space, right? Instead of watching Netflix, do something self-productive, do some personal growth, go and work out, meditate, go sit in a float tank, whatever, but it's it's like what you think is what you are, basically, but you're still in control of that.
Nice. What's the title of your book when it comes out?
I don't know yet. I've been writing some. Actually, the one title I like is, it's like in sickness and in health until death do us part, vows that you should give yourself first. I like that one.
I like that.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That's very well thought out. My only recommendation is you add a little bit of Russian in there. It really helps.
Yeah.
How about we just get it translated into Russian? I'm also like, I need to do audiobooks. I need to do ebooks. Like, I hate this stuff. It's so complicated.
Your book
now.
should be ebook Zaponito.
Say that again. What?
Your ebook should be ebook Zaponito, which is placeholder.
Thanks.
Placeholder ebook.
That's going to help sell my book. Thank you. I'm glad I participated.
All right.
Give us some free branding as well.
Okay. God. You just called it a coffee holder. It's like almost like, it's going to prop the couch up. Okay.
And I think on that note, we will wrap the podcast. So thank you very much, Vee, for coming on to the Placeholder Podcast. You can check out the book In Sickness and in Health, or whatever it changes into. Hopefully one day in the future online, and we can share along this knowledge of self-development. Hope you enjoyed the episode, and we'll catch you next time on our next episode covering urban legends and Darwin Awards. Dan, take it away in Russian.
Oh man, I already forgot.
Sputnik, Maria Sharapova,
Goodness.
Gennady Golovkin. Peace. Thanks, guys.
Great outro.
That's going to be a very rough edit. Oh my god.
Yeah, no kidding. Thank you for having me.